once upon a time, we had a collaborative wiki for facilitating knowledge sharing. And some of you may recognize this image there, which is the toolkit we had that Nancy helped us to organize so well. This was also used for international organization. So, for example, we had plenty of courses on knowledge sharing, knowledge management. This one is on experience capitalization. And it was an important thing to have the toolkit because, for example, in this course on experience capitalization, you see that the whole cycle of capitalizing is surrounded by facilitation. Facilitation, and this is why we had a specific lessons just for sharing knowledge. And all these methods that we were using and we are still using were referred in the toolkit. And if you are interested, you can even see in the chat the course. So, but let's see what happened. So during COVID time, we have been facing some surprise. And what happened is what we say in Italian, oh, that was a grande casino. So a big issue. It was taken over by an Indian casino and using our tools, not really for action, after action review, but more for roulette and this kind of stuff. So we thought, we can't leave it this way. And we won't like to use or lose all the access to decades of sharing knowledge. So, and before we go and explain what we did to save all this pressure treasure, I would like to go back to the history. And I am now going to invite Lucie Lamoureux, who was one of the first facilitators, and she was actually the lead facilitator for 9 years in km4dev. And she's going to tell us a little bit how did it start and what happened. Over to you. We are all ears.
Thank you, Sophie, and hello, everyone. It's really lovely to see all of you, to see familiar faces, see newbies, and people in between. It's really nice to be here. So very, very briefly, I had to do a bit of a deep dive into my old emails to see kind of what was the history and the timeline of the KS Toolkit. So it started in June 2005. When Simone Steiger-Rivas, whom a lot of you know, at the time was working for the ICT KM program of the CGIAR. She was at this Knowledge Management for Development meeting in Geneva. And she met Manuel Fleury from the Swiss Development Cooperation, who are the hosts. And during this meeting, they discussed, wouldn't it be nice to have a resource that would be highlighting methods and tools for the km4dev community. So this is where the seed was planted. Then the second one, and this is a big shout out to Nancy White here, end of 2007, early 2008, she and Simone, who sadly can't be here today, worked on the structure of the wiki to create that first instance and the initial 58 methods and tools that were contained at the time. And right away in March 2008, the wiki was taken out for a bit of a test drive in an online knowledge sharing workshop, and it was used as a resource, and participants in the workshop were asked to contribute to the wiki. And at the time, it was also then that the section that is called What is Your Context was created, and just to provide kind of some entry points into the methods and tools. Then after that, in May 2008, that was the official launch of the KS Toolkit. It was shared with the km4dev community, and it was a hit right from the beginning. In 2 months, it had 20,000 views, so it was really very encouraging. People really we're very happy to have this resource. And so this is when the whole process of encouraging km4dev members to contribute to contribute to the wiki, because it was always a purely volunteer effort. So Nancy was our gardener. So for this part from 2008 till 2020, 2012, when there was the KS Toolkit Day. This was kind of the glory years where we were feeding the wiki, and it was getting to be a great resource. Now, the November 2012, it was the KS Toolkit days. So over those 2 days, we sought out to improve and to add to the wiki. We had people take over pages as page stewards. We had over 200 updates and over 30 contributors. So it was a great event. And by then we had about 100 tools and methods, and still an average of 10,000 visits per month. At this time, we're looking at a whole bunch of people involved, and I'm really sorry, I'm not going to name everyone. A lot of you were involved. The organizations that were co-sponsoring at the time were CGIAR, FAO, UNDP, UNICEF, km4dev, obviously. So it was a wonderful time where we were all really kind of making this resource very, very useful. Then when we go to the next part of the timeline, we're in February 2018, and by then the picture is not as rosy. People are still using the toolkit, but there's a bit less visits. I think we're about at 7,000 per month. But then we have the first kind of Save the Toolkit movement, because Wikispaces, which was our hosting platform, closed down. So there needed to be a transfer to another platform. And again, Simone and Nancy led the charge, and they migrated the content to the Civi hosting platform. And but there was a lot of issues that came with the migration, as it normally happens. There was a lot of broken links, and some photos, images disappeared. So there was a lot of work that needed to be done. And the next part of our timeline is when, COVID basically hit. And I think for a lot of people, we were all kind of spinning and not really sure what we were doing. So the toolkit kind of disappeared from everyone's radar. And by January 2022, this is when one of the km4dev members realized that it had been taken over by an Indian casino. And so this was the second kind of mission to save the toolkit. And it was on the agenda of the one of the meetings of the km4dev core group. And there were recommendations that were done. There was a report that was drafted by Nancy. But I think, again, this was a time when a lot of people were reeling, and the recommendations never really were applied, and it kind of fell between the cracks of the core group's work, which brings us to June 2024. And there was another relaunch from the core group saying, okay, we need to talk about the KS Toolkit again. And this is where Sophie and Davide come in, and they decided to take action. And this leads us to today, and to this collective push to reinvent the KS Toolkit, and to this meeting where let's see what we can all do together. So back to you, Sophie.
Thank you so much. And this is great to have this history and this nice visual to actually guide us through this timeline. And
I really hope that I didn't skip on stuff that were important, and that I didn't say things that were incorrect. Somebody please write in the chat if the information was incorrect. But Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, we welcome anybody who participated, who actually put time and effort in the previous version of the KM Toolkit to let us know, because we are there to recognize the efforts of everybody. This is a collective treasure. We love it, and we want to continue loving it, and we welcome everybody to do the same. So that is very important. Part of the history is also UNICEF, and we are very lucky to have Ian with us today. And I would like to ask Ian how UNICEF took the toolkit on board, how important it was for UNICEF, why you did it, and what you did with the toolkit.
Sure, of course. Well, happy to be here and happy to see so many familiar faces and a few who I remember from those days. And like Lucy said, it's kind of like back in the past now to try and remember exactly what happened. But basically, I think it was around 2008 or so. UNICEF was kind of late to knowledge management, actually. And this was our first attempt at doing organizational knowledge management. And what I recall from that time is we didn't have tools and guidance, and we were new, and we were a small team, and we were trying to figure out, well, how do we do this? And we knew how to do a few, methodologies. And so the toolkit was something that was, that was just kind of blossoming, and it was really helpful to us because it allowed us to actually have access to tools and methodologies and introduce them to the organization in an organization that was just not at all used to using these kind of approaches. And it was a ready-made tool where we could really tap into the expertise of all these different agencies and contributors. And we used it. So we used it to do that. And we also used it to test some of those techniques and see how well they worked in UNICEF and to adapt them for UNICEF. And I remember at that time, there were some things that we had done and we put into the toolbox, but we were also really, consumers in that we were able to use this. And just to say, so that was the first attempt, and this was between 2008 and 2012, and we were quite actively using and promoting the toolkit at that time. Then kind of UNICEF had a lull, like many organizations do, in supporting KM, and then we had another start at 2015. So that's later when, already it wasn't quite as active as it used to be. And I recall at the time an interaction with Nancy, actually, because we created our own UNICEF toolkit with Mina, who is actually in the audience here today as well, for internal use. But just to say that even though we created our own internal UNICEF toolkit, we were heavily inspired by the content that came from here. And we took, what's so great is it's open source and anyone can access it and remix it. And so we took this, took the best of this. We kind of figured out from these which things could we adapt and would we change and write up for use in UNICEF, because it was such a rich source of different approaches. And just to say, it was an inspiration for our own internal work, even when we did our own toolkit, the Knowledge Exchange Toolbox later. So it was, and I think what was really good was that it was really a collective effort of a lot of people who really cared about this work, who really wanted to share their expertise. And I almost think that sometimes when we think about kind of knowledge management, that is a lot of what knowledge management's about. And at that time, when the toolbox was live with wikis and everything, it really was kind of a golden age of like really co-creation. And I think it's great that we now have an opportunity to think about how we can do both co-creation again, and also how we can preserve history, because there's a lot of really good work that gets lost in history, as we're seeing now with all the changes in the aid sector. And I think this comes at, the really excellent time that we start to think about this. Anyway, I just noticed there's a few other people there. I think Johannes, who was with UNDP at the time, Mina, who was with FAO and with us. So I see there's quite a few contributors here, and it's great to see you all, and it would be great to have all your information and knowledge back in the new toolbox, back in the new toolkit. Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much, Ian. It's really great. And we're many of the UN organization, and we are celebrating 80 years in FAO. We are celebrating 25 years in km4dev. But being quite a strong community of practice, I think that it is our purpose to continue preserving the memory and making sure that practitioners continue to working together, whether they are still in this organization or not. So what happened to the toolkit? What did we do? So I will not leave the excitation, the surprise now. Let's discover it. And I'm very pleased that Davide was on board. He did a fantastic job with Valentina, who is with me at FAO. And I would like to give them the floor to guide us through this fantastic resource that they have resurrected. The floor is yours, Davide.
Thank you, Sophia, and hello everyone. Thank you so much for being here. It's really exciting to see so many of you from across the km4dev community, but also beyond the community, because today it's not just about relaunching the toolkit, it's about rebooting a model for how we build, maintain, and grow knowledge together. But it's possibly also an opportunity to offer an helpful practical case study on how we can collectively salvage knowledge resources. As Ian mentioned, this is a topic that is sadly very, very relevant today, when many organizations are at the risk of losing important knowledge assets. And speaking about timing, I also think there couldn't be a better time. No, it's springtime, it's a time when new things flourish. And indeed, what we are unveiling today is the new Knowledge Sharing Toolkit. It's being completely redesigned to reflect the way we actually collaborate in 2025. So why did we redesign the toolkit? Not only because it was broken, it was hijacked by an Indian casino. That's a very funny story. But we redesigned, we didn't just back it up. We wanted to redesign because the world has changed. And today we need tools that are future-proof, radically collaborative, usable by anyone instantly. So we took the original toolkit, which is this amazing piece of work built by many of you, and we kept its soul, but we rebuilt its body to match today's workflows. So the new design is super lean. It has two simple layers. The first one at the top is a minimal static website, just a couple of pages to easily navigate the toolkit. But then behind it, there is a set of collaborative Google documents hosted on a shared drive managed by the community, managed by km4dev. And this means, number one, the website can change tomorrow, but the content won't be lost. Number two, anyone can download the entire toolkit in minutes. Number three, anyone can edit, contribute, or reuse it. And number four, the platform is irreplaceable, but the content is durable. So this isn't a CMS dependency for the most tech savvy among you. It's Content Commons. And we build it on Google Docs, a tool, which is a tool that, as you know, millions of people already use every day. Every article, whether it's a method, a tool, and even the list of external resources is a Google document. So you don't need to log in. There are no gatekeepers. You just click, comment, edit, and Google Doc gives us built-in version history. And also comment suggestions. So we get all the benefits of peer review without the hassles, without the barriers. To keep things coherent, we also created a very light touch governance model, which we like to call the Knowledge Sharing Toolkit editorial board. And it comes with very clear roles, clear processes. It's open to anyone who wants to help curate and improve the toolkit. And this is how we hope to ensure quality, but without sacrificing openness. Finally, I would say we didn't want to build something that looks high tech and is hard to use. We wanted to build something that is high tech but feels low tech. So you don't need to learn anything new. You don't need permissions to contribute. It works in any browser. So whether you are a knowledge management specialist or a field practitioner, you can engage right away. Now, we'd like to show you how the toolkit looks like and how it feels in real life. But before I jump into the demo myself, I'd like to introduce someone who's been working very closely with me behind the scenes on making this renovation real. Valentina has been supporting us with energy and a very sharp eye for detail. So she's going to walk us through how the toolkit actually works for contributors and how it's structured under the hood. So let me unshare my screen and hand over to you, Valentina.
Thank you, Davide, for passing me the word. I would like to introduce you all to the KS Toolkit website. So this is the main page, and it collects over 200 methods and tools for facilitating knowledge sharing processes. We can start on the home page, which acts as your entry point to the toolkit. Here you'll find the three main content types: methods, tools, and external resources, all hosted as collaborative Google Docs, as you can see here. And you can explore the methods by context, helping you focus on the specific situations you are working in. For example, here you'll find a series of contexts that reflect real-world scenarios, like advocacy and research, where knowledge sharing plays a crucial role. Let's open the advocacy context, for example. Each context includes a short description and a set of guiding questions. These questions assist you based on the situations you are in, so you can easily identify the method or tool that best fits your specific challenge. For example, how do we get input on our issues from key constituents, or how do we make our issues visible to the people we want to reach? And this helps you locate the right approach, for example, Work Cafe or Community Listeners Club. Now, in addition to browsing by context, you can also search the toolkit using AI tools. That's the innovation of nowadays. We currently offer multiple GPT-powered assistants, one for finding methods, one coming soon for finding tools, and one for discovering external resources. Let's try to use one. Simply, you can ask a question in plain language like this question: what method can I use to reflect after a field visit? And the system will suggest you the most relevant option based on your needs, after action review, and so on. Let's now return to the method pages and open action learning sets to analyze the structure of each method. So we open this first one, and I will show you the structure of each method. So at the top, each page includes a standardized header that helps you navigate. A link will bring you back to the toolkit homepage, and then a note will show you if the article is available in other languages. If that's not the case, that's not a problem, because you can instantly translate each page into dozens of languages using Google Docs. Just go to Tools, Translate Documents. You can choose the documents you want to translate, and you will translate the page into no matter which language. And this makes the toolkit globally accessible. Now, let's look also at the structure of the method. Each method page includes a short overview, clear step-by-step instructions on when to use and how to use, and then 2 sections: tips and lessons learned, and examples and stories. These sections are where you, the km4dev community, can add your knowledge. Just under each title, you will find a short description to guide your input, so you know exactly what kind of content belongs here. And to add your contribution, you have 2 options. You can simply reflect on your experience and add it directly, or write a quick note and let our AI assistants help you to turn it into clean, structured content. Now, Davide will give you a quick demo of some of these AI tools in actions. And once you have added your contribution, our editorial board will be notified to help review it and refine it, just to ensure that everything stays clear and coherent. And that's all I wanted to show you for now. I will now hand the floor back to Davide.
Thank you very much, Valentina. So I hope you can see my screen again now. I would like to show you something exciting. It was a very good tour of the toolkit, and Valentina already showed you briefly what the artificial intelligence can do, but I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into a couple of these artificial intelligence assistants. So maybe let's start with Methods Finder GPT. By the way, you've seen that you can find all of them in the homepage. We have one per each type of resource because we found it more useful to not mix up and let you search for specific methods or specific tools or specific external resources. It's also less confusing for the artificial intelligence. All of these, they're powered by ChatGPT. They are public GPTs. You should be able to access them from your own account, and they are free. So let's say, and the methods, we have one method, Finder GPT. We have one for the tools and one for the resources. I'm only going to demo one of them. You can ask it a question by typing it in the chat, or you can even talk to it. And what it will do, it will go and look at a full list of articles, in this case of methods from within the toolkit, and it will select the top 3 relevant methods based on your specific need. And it will show you what the method is about in a quick words, in a very short description, but also why it is useful, and it will provide a direct link to the resource. Now, this is the trickiest part. Sometimes the link, they don't work right away. Don't despair if they don't work right away. You can just refresh the page, and usually they do work. So they do send you to an article, which is a Google Doc. Every single article is a Google Doc. And then it doesn't end there. Of course, at the end of the response, you get a way to navigate the toolkit pages, but it does invite you to explore additional methods. And one thing I wanted to mention is that it can even search online. So you can be more specific, or for example, you can ask it to go online and tell you if there is anything relevant beyond what's already in the toolkit. So it's not limited, and it should bring up other methods and give you the reference, give you the link to, in this case, from the designkit.org to find more information. Or maybe you want to get more specific. It's a chat, so you can have a conversation with the artificial intelligence. You can, for example, say, I need something specific on climate change adaptation. And if there is something useful, chances are the toolkit will help you find the resource. In this case, it's still searching on the web. So that's one of the GPTs I wanted to show you. The other one I'd like to show you is, I'd like to switch perspective. So from searching content to designing content. And I have a use case for you, which will resonate with many of us. Although this is a method that is already in the toolkit, I wanted to use it because it's one of the resources, very practical and very helpful from USAID. In this case, I had to retrieve it from the Wayback Machine. So the resource is not currently online. And let's say that you want to salvage it. What I did, I downloaded it to my computer, my personal computer. And then the way you can contribute resources to the toolkit is you find many ways listed on the Get Involved page. But basically, the second one is to propose a new method or tool, and you get clear guidance. And one of the things that you find on the page is an artificial intelligence-powered writing assistant. So when you open it, it prompts you to give it content in any format. You can write content in the chat. You can upload a document, which is what I'm going to do right now. You can even talk to it. So when you upload a document, what it does is it starts writing the article in the format that is the one of the articles in the KS Toolkit. So at the end of it, you should be able to very simply copy paste, because it puts it in a canvas. You should be able to copy all of the content and just put it on the page. However, I do want to mention that you still need to review the draft. It doesn't hallucinate. It shouldn't hallucinate. We gave it very clear guidance not to do that. but it's an artificial intelligence. Think of it as your co-author, ghostwriter. So as you can see, it's just extracting the text from the document that I showed you from USAID, and it's putting it in a format that is the same as the articles, one of the ones you've seen. Valentina showed it to you. So that's all I wanted to show you, I think. As I said, there will be more tools that we want to develop, more GPTs. One in particular that we were thinking about is one guided reflection on the examples and the stories. Now, for example, you might have an example and a story you want to share, or maybe tips and lessons learned. It would be nice to have a GPT that you can have a conversation with, and then where you verbally share your experience in using, for example, an after action review, and the ChatGPT turns it automatically into content. You can paste it into an article. For example, examples and stories you see, this is where we seek to see stories from practitioners from all around the world. So that's it about artificial intelligence. The last thing I want to show you is the Get Involved page, because this toolkit isn't just something we use, it's something that we build together. So here is how you can contribute. I showed it to you briefly. You can improve existing articles, like suggesting edits, add examples, drop your tips. You can propose new methods or tools. We have even give you the GPTs to help, as I showed you. You can submit interesting external resources for our directory. And finally, if you're very motivated and want to own the toolkit, you can join the editorial board and help us curate and grow the content. So we made it simple, open, and rewarding. The Get Involved page is here to guide your contributions at any time. This is not tied to a specific event, but we also have organized a special occasion, which is called the Knowledge Sharing Toolkit contest. And in a moment, I will hand over to Sophie for telling you everything about it. So let me just wrap up by saying this again. This is a toolkit. This new toolkit is more than a redesign. It's a working model. It wants to be a proposed working model for collaborative stewardship. It's lean, it's open, and it's built to last because it's built by us. So thank you for being part of it. I hope you'll jump in to contribute and help take the Knowledge Sharing Toolkit even further. Over to you, Sophie.
Thank you so much. This is really great. Now you have seen what we have done with the toolkit. And we invited you today because we would like to launch a contest. And a contest is not a competition because it's coming from Latin. Con, cum, with, and test, to test with. And in French, we say concours. So you're going to run with. So we are doing things together. So the idea of this contest is really to do it with you and to really enjoy it. It should be fun. So that is my main message to start going into it. So you're going to tell me, okay, let's go into why you should participate in this. So, as we said, we should make this toolkit ours, yours. And we would like to recognize really to recognize the contribution that each of you will do as done. And we would like to be able to upgrade it and to looking at also a double perspective. Because with COVID, many things became online. And it's important that we also reflect about the methods and the tools that we have been using, and to say a few things about, okay, this is how you can use it face-to-face, and this is how you can do it online. So the overall goal of this 3-month contest is to give new impulse to a collective action for a common resources that was cherished for so many years and that deserve investing with your time and your expertise. And you have different types of expertise. We will tell you how you can do that. So this is also an opportunity to make yourself visible and to be recognized, because we would like every week to have a kind of shout outs to the km4dev list and say, and to celebrate those who have contributed. So the contribution will be to validate the existing context, to add what is missing, to share real world experiences and expand our library. And what are the benefits for you? It's, as I mentioned, this weekly recognition, the visibility of your contribution as an expert for a specific method or a tool, or to have your good eyes, which are clean, to actually clean and edit contents that is available on the KS Toolkit. And what we really want is to make this toolkit more useful and more inclusive. And we would like also to learn new tools and methods by looking at what exists and to see what isn't there that we should add. So there are 4 ways that you can contribute. And this is along with what Davide has explained. And you see, it's collaborate. Again, it's because I'm in Italy, so I want to give you a little bit of roots here. Call is cool, it's with. Laborare, it's to work. So it's to work together. So again, this is a contest and we collaborate. So 4 different ways we can collaborate. Number 1 is to improve the existing articles. So we have been trying to put them in a nice way, making sure it was more systematic. And I thanks again Valentina for all her patience and time she took, because if it looks the way it is today, it's because of her. So thanks, Valentina. And what we would like is that please continue to do so. We need your eyes to see, okay, is this okay? Can you clarify? Can you fix? And certainly, can you add your experiences? Are there cases that could illustrate that fantastic method that is there? Now, Ewan already asked this in the chat. Can we add new methods and tools? Yes, of course. To make your life easier, as you have seen, Davide has used artificial intelligence that will enable us to do that. For the tools, we have made the list of all the tools that existed, but I have to confess that many of them are a bit outdated. So it is important that we really look at what are we using now, and we count on you for adding these tools. The third way is to submit the resources. You know what happened with USAID. This has happened with many of the websites I have had in my life. The things start disappearing, the links are broken, and then you can't find the resource anymore. So we have decided that we could also put the resources part of the KS Toolkit site. And we are inviting you to share the resources that you have been using, that you think are really needed to be there. And so you can share the links, but you can also download the whole document in the toolkit. And the fourth way you can join us, of course, is by joining the editorial board. At the moment, we are 3 of us, but we are welcoming more people because this is not but it is also yours. So we need to have you on board. Therefore, you're welcome to do that. And you can also do this in filling the form that you will see down there. Okay, so the next slide is how does it work? So again, we have been trying to document and we have built this a clean and clear process. And therefore, what we say, okay, number 1, what you should do is to sign up. and you can sign up by filling the form that we put in the chat. Then you will receive a welcome message, read it, and it will guide you step by steps on what you can do with the 4 possibilities I just presented to you. Then we have used also a tracker so that you can log your contributions and you can say what you have been doing. And it is important to do so because that will be the way for us to recognize your contribution every week. So we can say, yes, hip, 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 hurrah, we have so-and-so who have been contributing so many to so many method tools or resources. And then what we have also prepared is a dedicated Google group where you can ask questions because maybe you don't understand, but how do I do this? This is complicated or not? Oh, yes, of course. So we have this Google group where we can ask questions and reply to each other. And the 5th way for getting started is to attend the onboarding session that we will have on 11th of April next week. So in a nutshell, we have made everything simple and well documented. So you won't be doing this alone, and we will be there to guide you and support you along the way. So let's see now how the calendar looks like. So the next steps so this contest, our collaboration effort, will last for 3 months. So we said, okay, let's do it from 4th of April. Today we start, we launch until the 4th of July. That's when we close the contest so that we can celebrate later in July, maybe the 10th of July, a tentative date. And we will have a hands-on session next week, 11th of April, but you don't need to wait until the 11th of April to have your hands-on. You can start looking at different things because everything is documented, as I said, and it's available on the sites. What we have decided, on top of having the shout-outs every week, we also have decided to have a bi-monthly drop-in, a kind of clinic, so that we can discuss about things that you found out, or it is a specific method that you would like to present. So what we have, the dates that we have put there, so 11th of April, that's next week, for the onboarding session, and we will have 2 times. One 9:30 in the morning European time, so that our friends from Asia Pacific can be with us, and a later session at 5:30, so that Nancy, who is joining from the West Coast, doesn't need to wake up at 6 o'clock to be with us. So we are thinking about our great community having different times for the onboarding session. And then for the next sessions on the 30th of April, 9th of May, 30th of May, 13th June, 27th of June, we will do it once in the morning and once in the afternoon, changing the dates. So the call is open really to everybody. And this is learning, getting feedback, and of course, co-learning together. So it's very important that we do this together. It's not just about updating the toolkit. It's also building a model on how we manage and share knowledge using these new tools that were presented to you by Davide. So if you believe in open collaboration, practical knowledge, and community ownership, we really hope that you will join. So let's take the KS Toolkit for a spin together. This now gives me to the question and answer time, and I will pass it over to Rocio so that you will have this task to manage the conversations. Thank you so much.
Okay. So there is a lot of questions, but there were two people in particular who didn't write the questions. They say they had questions. One of them was Sarah, and the other is Mohammed. So I would pass it on to you. And then let's see, depending on the time, we address the audience, or we just address it afterwards. Sarah, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Rocio. I have a quick question. Sorry, my internet's really useless today, so I haven't got my camera on. Which a generic thing, first of all, absolutely fantastic, really impressed, think it's absolutely amazing. Yeah, so lots of approve of what you're doing, amazing. I have a question though. What is the link between the toolkit and liberating structures? Does anybody know what the link is? I'm thinking that you and Nancy will be able to say. I have a couple of other points to make. When you talk about external resources, I mean, I think there are, for example, Real KM magazine has a lot of external resources, and I know we have like a whole issue with losing resources, but isn't it better really if you think resources are safe to start with a link rather than actually posting resources? I have loads more questions, but anyway, this looks amazing. Thank you very much.
I could answer. I could take a stab at an answer of the liberating structures question. Is liberating structures questions are Creative Commons, so anybody can use them anywhere. We're in the midst of updating all the descriptions, so I would not recommend copying them verbatim, but linking them. And I think this does raise the question of when do you pull in the material so there's a second copy, and we have learned now that multiple copies are a good thing, not a bad thing. And when do you link? And I would suggest just intuitively that thinking about both strategies are probably a good idea, because you can put the, like 1, 2, 4 all, you can put it in there, you can attribute it to liberating structures, but you could go to original link is here. And then as that one's updated, somebody may notice it. It's an imperfect solution because we're imperfect. So that is my comment on liberating structures. Use them.
So I don't know, Davide, Sophie, you want to add anything?
I was wondering whether you had wanted to add something about liberating structure.
No, I think Nancy has summarized it. I mean, I think the broader comment perhaps is to make sure that look, when I think about the KS Toolkit, I think the true goal is really in the tools, in the KM tools, because I think that's speaking very specifically to the KM community. Whereas the stuff that is in the knowledge sharing approaches, including liberating structures, is not specific to the KS Toolkit. And as I mentioned in the comments, Session Lab has got like a much better mapping of all these different approaches. Now I understand and I hear the point of view of Nancy of multiple links, and I think that's not a bad idea. What I would recommend or suggest considering is to take the opportunity to think, okay, of all these KS approaches, what are some that we really want to sort of focus on or emphasize or promote within the KM community? That might be helpful, and that would be something that is very km4dev specific. I think otherwise I can just plus one on what Sarah and others have said in the chat. Really impressive effort, folks. It looks really good, so well done.
Thank you. If I can jump in, there was another question from Sarah. Sarah, please stop me if you think I'm off track. But you may have made a comment that has to do with what about if you have an external resource with a link on the toolkit and then the external resource is taken down, now we lose access to the resource. Is that what you were saying, Sarah?
No, I was really more thinking about like if you look at the Real KM magazine or the KM4dev journal, for example, if you post those resources onto the toolkit, it would have the advantage of making sure they're safe, but on the other hand, you will be taking traffic away from other sources. So I think it's important to think about that. But fantastic. This is really fantastic. So thank you.
Yeah, there was the nuance. So what we decided to do, because we do need to preserve the resources, and again, this is a collective product. This is the first iteration. Together we may change the way we handle things, but this is a point that came up at the very early stage, and we decided to keep the original link, but then encourage people to download the resource from the original website, upload it to the shared drive managed by km4dev, so that then in the article we provide two links, original page and local link, so that we don't incur in the risk of losing the resource. That's the way it's working now.
Thanks very much.
And let me reply to the other part of the question raised by Sarah. I have been thinking about, in some cases, we need to refer to some of the KM4dev journals. Because, for example, you have the knowledge share fairs, and we have been doing many of these, and these have been documented, and even in the KM4dev journal. So what is great is to make links to that. So we have to think, maybe we can have a conversation. Also, this is the conversation with the new website of km4dev that Cesar and Pier Andrea are restructuring now. You know, all these new things and what we have done with the KS Toolkit, they make sense together. So it's not that we are going to take away traffic from the journal. No, we are making more links. We are interlinking things. So I think that we can have a discussion about that, and could be one of these days that we proposed. So now I give the floor maybe to Mohammed Umar.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Mohammed.
So thank you so much for this wonderful job. It's really impressive. I really appreciate it. I can imagine it takes really, let's say, a village to do this kind of job. So congratulations to the team. So I just have some, let's say, two simple questions. And the first one is that somewhere it has been mentioned that there is no need for permission to edit or to contribute. So here, let's say that I have just some concern, because I think that that could have some safety implication, you know, for the existing content, for example. You see, so it would be great if you can bring some, let's say, more precision about that. And the other one is the use of artificial intelligence, which is really innovative. It's really amazing. But I just would like to know if that utilization is unlimited or it is limited, because sometimes, you know, if you use AI, there is a certain number of research or question that you cannot exceed. You see, so I would be really happy and grateful to have some clarification about those, let's say, those concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. And actually, I'm going to link this with a question that Sylvia asked about the editorial board. So maybe you can, Davide and Sophie, talk a little bit about.
I'll take it. So the thing to know is, again, this is iteration number 1. So anyone can edit the toolkit, but it doesn't mean that your edits will be applied right away to the toolkit, because we have an editorial board. So Google Docs, they give you different kinds of permissions. In the toolkit, when you access an article, for example, even if you're not logged in, you can suggest edits, and it works pretty much like track changes. Many of you are familiar with that function. You will find the suggestion in line, but then one of the editors, the editorial board will be notified, and then one of the editors has to go there, review the suggested edits, and approve them. So nobody can actually change the content of an article without the editorial board to review that proposed change. Regarding the second question you had is, we leverage ChatGPT, but then the nice thing about it is that everyone uses their own account. So it depends on the account that you have, the limitations that you have utilizing GPT. So what we do provide is a custom GPT. It means that it's a GPT. Technically not, but let's say it's trained on the toolkit. It's informed by the content of the toolkit. For you to use the GPT, you will access it through your own account. So you If you have a premium account, you have more access than someone that doesn't have a premium account. But that, I would say, I don't see that limitation being a problem, because even the limitation for free accounts is very high. Meaning, I don't think you will be trying to look for more than 30 resources within 15 minutes. No, you need help. You will probably do a couple of searches, not that many to incur in the limitation. And you can always wait until the block is removed.
I'm gonna also, Laura was asking about how to ensure quality of content. I'm not sure, Laura, if this answer your question, or you want to elaborate more. Also, Celia, if that was clear.
No, just to say, so it's clear in the sense that there is a vetting process. That's what you're saying, David, isn't it? I mean, at the moment, you mentioned there's only 3 of you on the editorial board, so you might want more. Or, I mean, so I'm assuming that basically you're saying we'll be able to see maybe potential track changes when people think something might want to be edited, but it'll just be a potential until it's been kind of agreed. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
So there is a kind of quality control element, obviously.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Safety and quality.
It's a proposition of a model for quality assurance. I just wanted to make it clear that we set it up. That's why you have 3 people in the editorial board. There was no editorial board yesterday. So the proposition is, let's put together the editorial board. We have the roles, we have the process, we have the workflow, we have the technology to support it, but it's not going to be the 3 of us, no? This is a collective.
Yeah, thank you.
And as we said, it's a contest. We are testing with you, so help us. Be part of it.
Laura, do you want to? Was it this enough, or you would like to elaborate your question?
Thank you, Rocio. Hello, everyone. Yes, it's very clear now. I'd just like to also congratulate. It's very useful, and I'm just wanted to add: is it possible for us to disseminate it within our organizations at this point in time, specifically to our knowledge management team in the regions? And I think they're really looking forward to receiving new knowledge sharing tools, and a lot of the regions have been asking us for them. So, and I think this is, bringing in the interactive session possibilities is extremely exciting. So thank you. I wanted to ask whether we could do that as well. So
you go ahead, David. I will continue.
Yeah, just because this is giving me a chance to be transparent about where we stand with the progress that we made so far. We are not done. So we had 200 methods to process and back up. We have backed up all of them, but we are applying the new template to them, and it's taken a while. So right now you will find the majority of the methods are ready. The tools, we still need to go through them. So it's a work in progress, but I don't think that this should prevent you from sharing it with others. It will always be a work in progress. That's why it's a living resource. That's my take. Sophie, what do you think?
Yeah, I would like to add to Laura that you see the contest is for 3 months, because we would like to do as much as we can in these 3 months to have a more final product. Even so, it will never be a final product, because it can be updated, upgraded all the time with everybody. But at this stage, what we have done, we secured what we have. We have been testing how we can add more things. We have tested the translation. And to be frank with you, working in several languages and having several of these methods already available in several languages from the work that we did in FAO, I can tell you that the artificial intelligence, it's not bad to give an idea of what it is, but it's not great if you are keen to know exactly what is the right terminology to use in this language. For example, the World Cafe that everybody knows, because in French-speaking Africa, you have the maquis, we decided to call it Maquis Mondial. which will never be translated like this by an artificial intelligence, for example. And then you have little nitty-gritty that give you some flavor for your method or your tools that is not done automatically. That's why we still need humans. We are useful. We are great. We should use our brain, and that's why we convey you to use your brain with us all together, so that we can improve things. So yes, you can share, and by sharing, if you find things that don't work, great, let us know, because we are there to fix them together. So let's get curious, go for it. We like that.
Okay, so talking about fixing, there was an interesting question from Johannes, and actually a comment from Bruce that he tried and he found it very challenging. So I don't know, Johannes, if you want to go to make the question further out loud.
Yes, thank you. No, it's like if an author wants to make a change to an article where he has a legitimate case and the editors reject it, and there's a disagreement, like what's the process to mediate that? Is there a meeting, or is there an email exchange? Is there even a contact somebody can reach out to? What's the process for that?
Yes, that's why we have our bi-monthly clinics. But before even the clinics, we have the email about the toolkit and people joining. We have this Google email list where we can discuss things, because I think that is the interesting thing about being together with the toolkit, is that we can have conversation and we can disagree and we can understand the point of view of the others and then change our mind, because yes, indeed, that was an interesting question. I didn't think about it. Maybe we should do it differently. So yes, that's the purpose of doing that. And Davide, you would like to add something?
No, again, I like when I get these questions, because I turn them around. No, we haven't gone that far in fleshing out how the editorial board, how the peer review process works. We set up the system, but I think we need to first get enough people to join the editorial board, and then together we co-design those and fine-tune those mechanisms. Because right now you have 3 people. So I could tell you, whenever there is a controversial edit, we get together and we decide, but who are we? You know, you want this to be a collectively owned toolkit. So I think it's better if we get more people and then we focus on creating that mechanism for peer review. So if you would like to help us, please, you're very welcome to join.
I'm wondering, because Sophie mentioned a discussion group. Is there a discussion just among the editors where authors can chime in and have a discussion? Because you don't want to bring that discussion into the km4dev network. It's like a smaller discussion just among those who are working on some articles now. Is there a channel for that somewhere?
Yeah, there is a way to contact the editorial board, but also I think what we're trying to do, but we're already looking into the future, so not everything is defined. We have a group that we are creating for those who join the contest. Now, there is an assumption. If you're joining the contest, it means you are interested in the toolkit. So the idea is maybe later we can keep this as a sounding board for the editorial board. But again, it's a very early stage idea.
That makes a lot of sense. Thanks, David.
Okay, there was a question from Sarko, and I think from Nina as well, about all the tools. I don't know, Sarko, are you here? Do you want to talk? I think it's the community of practice.
I'm here, but David answered that question in the chat. I think I had another one left, but I forgot what it was, so I'm good.
So, I mean, just if you didn't see the chat, if you want to answer out loud, Davide?
Yeah, Zarko was pointing out a toolkit which we developed together, by the way, so I was very happy to see it. The World Bank the World Bank Communities of Practice Toolkit. He was asking, is the Knowledge Sharing Toolkit going to be integrated into the COP Toolkit? Well, the answer is, first of all, we featured the COP Toolkit in the Knowledge Sharing Toolkit. So it's in the external resources. And because it's a set of articles, it makes sense to have it there. It's an external resource. It's not one specific article. So we made sure that it's available as a resource in the other resources. That's all I have for now. But, you know, let me just say, for example, it's never going to happen. But let's say that someone takes down the COP toolkit. We are at the risk of losing it. Using the artificial intelligence tool, we could copy all the articles from the COP toolkit and bring them into the KS toolkit, maybe creating a chapter on communities of practice very easily. Marco, you have a follow-up.
I think Sarko remember.
And what I would like to add is that we have given the possibility to download the KS Toolkit on your own computer if you wish. This is another possibility, which is great, so that you can save your own copy. But what is important is that we are also trying to get as much information as possible. So as I see Veronique from LuxDev saying great, I say, yes, please send your resources also in French, because we want to have different languages. That's very important. Thank you.
Sarko.
Yeah, no, I think the other is connected because, I mean, obviously I haven't played with it since I just saw it, but I'd love to play with the AI, the GPT stuff, especially for the resources. And then Davide, you showed the, you know, oh, okay, search through this toolkit and here's ideas for whatever session. Yes, done. Now give me more ideas from other places, right? From like outside of the toolkit. I think this is where it gets really cool, and because this is where it can get aggregated into, I mean, Nancy spoke about liberating structures, right, including some in design. So it'll be like, oh, you know, let's hear some ideas from here. Now, could you suggest, in addition to this, some liberating structures or some, like, if you point to specific other things? And so that's in a way, that's where I was going with in terms of integrating into our resources, like not integrating in the sense of like this becoming sort of like the toolkit of all toolkits, right, where everything's just like dumped into that one. But exactly like figuring out how could you use like AI or something else to kind of create these linkages so that in a way, you know, this would be one place where you kind of start there, but you're not limited to just what's in there. You can kind of go into a bunch of different places, right? And maybe you're relying right now, chat. If the whole AI thing about like, oh, look at these other things, or look at the web. Written more broadly, that's one thing. But if it can be programmed to be more specific, if it can be like, hey, no, I mean, I don't want you to look at the entire, like search the entire web for all sorts of facilitation techniques or knowledge or whatever. Like these are like 5, 10, 15, 20 outside resources unrelated to Knowledge Sharing Toolkit, but similar, which are sort of like trusted, developed by, you know, co-developed by a bunch of other people, you know, well-respected community. So like search those and like let's kind of create like figure out the linkages, you know, there. So that's I guess what I'm using right now around linkages beyond this toolkit, and that also gets us into I mean, in addition to the contest, and I think that's probably the I mean, something else from liberating structures, right? Like from that community and the liberating structures in development is the idea that you're using more than one at a time. Like you're facilitating a 1 hour session. It's not like I'm just using this tool. You're using liberating structure 1, then you're following it with liberating structure 2, then maybe with liberating structure 3. And so like this opportunity to kind of combine and resource and kind of, what was the term that they used? The string structures together. So it's, I think the real potential behind like edits of specific tools is not even just in the tool itself, like, oh, let me add a note about how this specific tool can be improved, but it's about stringing other tools, or like linking it and saying, okay, if you're doing an AAR, like the USAID example, hey, consider stringing this to this other thing, right? Whatever this other thing is, you know, because when they work in tandem, they work really well. So these are the sort of like more advanced things that I think would be really cool. And then if they can be powered somehow, that would be awesome. Yeah, I'll stop here.
Just very quickly, let me react to this. It's a brilliant idea. Thank you, Zarko. We hadn't thought of it. I see risks, but it's definitely an opportunity, as in you can say, when you provide suggestions of external resources beyond what's in the toolkit, make sure you check out these other websites first. Then the risk is, what if we don't know that there are other websites that have very valuable resources? And it's not something that, it doesn't prevent. Personally, I think that I would still go ahead and give these priority websites to the GPT, in the hope that even the list of those external resources, external platforms where people can find resources, is constantly and timely expanded by the community. It all depends on how alive this toolkit becomes. That would be my take. But brilliant idea, thank you.
Thank you. Ana Neves, you wrote something. Would you like to say it out loud?
Well, I can, but it's easily, it's actually easier if people follow the link. So I was just wondering, I'm always looking at content in combination, and this idea of stringing makes total sense to me. But also, as a knowledge manager like yourselves, it's also about people and how the experiences they can bring around the tool, around the method. So I was wondering if it would make sense to add something to the toolkit, not right now, but maybe something that can be added later, which is a visual representation of content feeding from the content on the pages, but allowing people to navigate it in a different way. So it's just a visual representation, a map of content, and I've just shared an example there. So I'm happy to help with that if it's considered to be useful.
It's a beautiful suggestion. The only thing I can say about this is we can do that. We can potentially do that because we chose to go with low tech, as in every article is a Google document, so you can build them up. You could do it with Obsidian. I'm just thinking, I'm just brainstorming. There are lots of tools that allow you to give it a folder full of documents and make a mind map. Now, because we chose to go with documents instead of a static website, it would be possible to do it. I don't know how to do that, but it's possible to do that. And it's a beautiful idea.
I don't know if Nancy left, but she was saying, has anyone been able to reclaim the domain of kstoolkit.org?
Maybe we can answer that. We decided not to do that because probably the Indian casino will ask us a lot of money. And the thing is, not doing it was a great opportunity to renovate, to think about something else, something different. And this is, in French, there was a say, if you don't have petrol, you need to have ID. So if you don't have a lot of money, you have to be innovative. So thanks to Davide, this is an innovative approach. And I think that this was the lightest, the cheapest, fastest way we could go about it with the meager resources, but a lot of willingness from some of us to go about it. So I don't think we are going to reclaim the name, because it's going. It was out of km4dev, and now with what has happened and with the new website that km4dev is going to have, the KS Toolkit will be embedded in km4dev. So I think actually we won many things in being hijacked.
Thank you. Pier Andrea.
Thank you, Lucia. Thanks, everybody. I hope you can hear me okay. Great work and great session. It's great to see everybody here. And as somebody said in the chat, so excited. Just a quick comment, and I was wondering if it's not too late in the process or there are no other consideration. If the group that you'll be using to facilitate the process itself could run alongside the other km4dev lists, so we keep things kind of close together in a way. So we can, I mean, we can take that offline, just maybe something to consider. Thanks. Thanks very much again.
Thank you. Any comment from you, Sophie, Davide?
You know, this 25th anniversary is a great opportunity to make plenty of changes. And so I'm really grateful for Pier Andrea and Cesar to work on one side of the KS Toolkit. It's good to have had Sarah with us because she is doing the journal. And what is nice with the conversation that we have had about the new KM website is that we should be able to look at things very easily and that they are more connected. So this is the opportunity. And when the new km4dev website will be secured with HTTPS, that will be even better so that we will not be attacked.
So I don't know if there is any other question. Any other comment? Maybe I miss any other comment. No?
Seeing Peter Burry with us, Peter was one of the great helpers at the very beginning when we start saving things. So I want also to thank him because he was there. But you don't know what we did since then, because we have tried so many things. Also, we have been using artificial intelligence, and then you see what is the limitation. And it's not written anywhere. You're just learning by doing and being confronted with things. So it's like with ChatGPT, if it's using the free, you have to limit it yourself in all what you want to do because there is a limit. But anyway, the way we have been using it, it was a great tool. But don't believe everything which is said. As I said, we need to use our brain. But so far, so good for what we needed to do and how it helped us to go faster.
Okay, so just a few reminders. This session is going to be recorded. I mean, it's being recorded. It will be available in our YouTube channel. We will send all the information on the contest through the different sites, through LinkedIn, through the km4dev. Please share it with others. If you have any questions, there you have it, all the information, all the details, kstoolkit@googlegroups.com. Remember, we are in our 25th anniversary. If you are not a member yet of km4dev, please join. And let's celebrate and continue the work together. If you want to stay a little bit longer, you have any other question, please feel free. But otherwise, I think we can wrap it up here.
I think it's been a long enough session. I just want to thank everybody who stayed with us for this long. As Rocio said, the one action item for you is to join a contest. It's not just a contest, it's a way of starting to get a feel of how the toolkit works, of how the toolkit is a collective product of the community. So we do encourage you to engage. This is an event that will go on for 3 months, but it will shape this new collaborative model that we're trying to design together with you. So do sign up, and for any questions, you can send an email to that email address you see on the screen. It's the editorial board for the group of competitors or collaborators that will join. We will probably use dgroups.io. I see a couple of suggestions in the chat. We did use googlegroups.com for the info email address. This is the email address that you send an email to get information. And the reason why we're choosing that, just to be transparent, is that it has a function that is called collaborative inbox. So whenever you send an email to that email address, it forwards the email to all of the members of the editorial board. So it's not for emailing each other. Whereas the group of volunteers, of contributors, is going to be a group like km4dev, but smaller, focused on the KS Toolkit. And for that, we can definitely use thegroups.io. That's it from me. Thanks again, everybody.
Yes, thank you very much to all those who participated. It's really great to see you all, and I hope we will be able to see you more. So if you're interested, come next week, 11th, we will send messages to those who have filled in the forms, and we will send more information also on thegroups.io for those who were not able to come, but still willing to join. So let's enjoy the contents and collaborate. Thank you.